How's it going, everyone? New World Order survival guy. Today I want to be getting into the caveats of tourniquets. First, I'm going to start off with the benefits of a tourniquet. Everybody knows tourniquets are a very good asset to have in your bug out bag, your get home bag, shit hits the fan bag, and even bugging in situation. It's always good to have tourniquets on hand in any survival situation. Because when shit hits the fan, there is going to be more risk to everyone, especially when it comes to like gunplay and stuff like that. Tourniquets are a very good asset. They can absolutely save your life in many situations. But that saving your life is only limited time. Tourniquets are made to be applied roughly for about 2 hours. In certain people, certain situations, up to 6 hours maximum. But that doesn't come without the gray area, which is 3 to 6 hours, where other life-threatening damages can occur. So that's mainly the thing that I want to get into. People don't understand when they're collecting these medical survival items, such as a tourniquet, that there's limitations. There's caveats that absolutely can be detrimental to your life. A tourniquet is made to prevent you from bleeding out in a severe injury, such as gunshots or impalement or something like that. It's only a temporary solution to hold you off until you seek medical attention. Now, in a shit hits the fan scenario, in a survival situation, chances are you are not going to have a destination to go for medical attention. That's my thing with this. Don't just think, oh, I got to have a tourniquet in my medical kit, my trauma kit, and that's the end of it. There's many different reasons and situations that you have to know what you're doing with this. For one, you have to know how to place this tourniquet and how to apply it. That's very important. If you don't apply it right, you're just extending your demise, and a painful one at that. So I ain't going to get into the specific locations, how to apply it, because it just all depends. There's so many extremities and so forth that could take effect in what exactly I'm talking about. Now, bleeding out will kill you about as fast as anything. Tourniquets are very important for that. But what are you going to do after that? In that 2 to 6 hour range that you can have a tourniquet on before it starts causing damage. Severe damage. It is very crucial not to bleed out, of course. That's obvious. That can kill you in minutes. So, if there's no doctor, you have to plan for that too. That's why it's important to have a full trauma kit And I'll get into some of them things here in a second. A lot of people think that tourniquets are good or would be good for a snake venom bite, a spider, something like that, to prevent it from spreading throughout your body. That is incorrect. If you get bit by a venomous snake or a spider, you absolutely do not want a tourniquet on, because it'll concentrate that venom, that poison, into a specific spot, and it's going to do a lot of damage, a lot more damage than if you didn't have a tourniquet on. So, and then plus, whenever you release that tourniquet, you can have a rush of venom that can also be a deadly thing to do into areas that you don't want that in. You don't want a rush of venom after it settles into your bloodstream and then all of a sudden rush to your heart. First and foremost, I am not a medical doctor. I'm giving my opinion, so-called. A lot of this is based on facts, what I'm telling you. So you can take it how you want it. Just let you know as a disclaimer, I am not a medical profession. I am not a doctor. So just putting that out there. So a tourniquet is to be used until you can receive medical treatment. The best thing to do is to get that tourniquet off quickly as possible. And I stress you of saying possible, which means safely possible. You don't want that tourniquet on for too long, because if it is on too long, you can have that limb amputated, because the longer you let that sit, it restricts the blood flow and it kills cells, it kills nerves, it does nerve damage, muscle damage, it causes necrosis, reperfusion injuries, even causes post-tourniquet syndrome. Yes, that's a real thing. As well as compartment syndrome. You don't use a tourniquet if someone looks like they're going to be amputated, or you don't remove a tourniquet in that situation. You can use one, just don't remove it after it's already on, or if the person's in shock, do not remove the tourniquet. So you have like less or about 2 hours for the lowest chance of further complications after you have the tourniquet on. Up to anything after like 6 hours, don't take it off. You really want a medical professionist to remove it so they can do the necessary precautions, and they have the right knowledge and devices to go ahead and remove that safely, because I'm telling you, it's going to cause other issues. You can if you leave it on after 6 hours, you're going to get ischemia, which is a lack of blood flow that can cause loss of a limb. And it cause permanent nerve damage. It can cause cardiac arrest. It can cause all kinds of things. So you got to be extremely careful and extremely cautious. It needs to be taken off in an ICU type of setting. But like I said, in a survival situation, that's not probable. So you have to be extremely careful when you put on a tourniquet. I mean, you have to do what you're going to do, because there's nothing that's going to kill you quicker than the loss of blood, you know. But what are you going to do after that? You have to be prepared beforehand for after that. Between 2 to 6 hours is basically the gray zone where, you know, it's crucial to make a move before other critical, life-threatening possibilities may occur. So up to 2 hours. You can go a little longer than that. It just depends. I mean, it's also a thing with high and low blood pressure. Low blood pressure is going to make you bleed out quicker. High blood pressure has its own things too that are critical to your health. It's a mess, man. It's something to think about. First and foremost, you got to keep calm, or if it's not you, you got to keep the other person calm, because that adrenaline starts pumping, so does your blood. Now you're gonna see things that go along with this. You're gonna see swelling. You put a tourniquet on, it is super painful. It is super painful because it attacks the nerves, the muscle. It restricts the blood flow to those. In addition to that, if you do have one in your leg, don't expect to walk, because you are talking about leg or a limb, extremity, falling asleep. It's definitely going to fall asleep. Lack of blood flow circulating through your body, your leg's going to fall asleep. Your arm's going to fall asleep. Wherever you have it on, it's going to fall asleep, so to speak. You are not going to be able to use that for the most part because of a lack of circulation. So keep that in mind. You're out in the field, you're out there, you're alone or whatever, or you're with somebody, it doesn't matter. You lose blood, you put on a tourniquet, don't expect to walk. You'd have to have some sort of crutch or someone assisting you on the way to go getting help, if possible. Now, it also creates numbness and it attacks the nerves in that area. It is hell. It would be hell for that situation. Now, there are other things, as in tourniquet conversion, that you could do around that 2 hour mark, if possible. Like I said, you can't use this if it's an obvious amputation, or if they're in shock, if they're in real pale skin because they lost a lot of blood. It's very risky to do those type of things. There's lots of signs that show that this person can't lose any more blood. And your judgment is not going to be all there if you're trying to make that decision for yourself, because loss of blood will definitely distort your thought process. So a tourniquet conversion is one way of dealing with it in a second manner. So tourniquet conversion is basically the process of switching from a tourniquet to a wound packing and pressure dressing, to control the bleeding application. It's deemed necessary. The tourniquet may have been deemed necessary, but no longer be required. That's when you use this tourniquet conversion step. The first thing you do to convert is, first of all, you pack the wound with gauze. Lots of gauze. You stuff it in that hole, and it's going to take quite a bit. And it's going to stop and slow down the bleeding from the inside. And then after you get it filled, you will apply pressure to that outer dressing. And I highly encourage Quick Clot to assist you in that matter, because it'll pack it in the inside and it'll coagulate the blood on the outside. Then you slowly, and I repeat slowly, release the tourniquet and see if the bleeding persists. If the bleeding persists, then you're going to apply that tourniquet back on. At the very least, at least there'll be some blood flow coming back into your extremity and your muscles and the viable areas that need that blood. But you got to immediately put that tourniquet back on, tighten it up, because you can't afford to lose any more blood. Who knows how long you applied it after it happened? Maybe it was someone you ran into along the way. He's bleeding. You put a tourniquet on him. That's why it's very important for a tourniquet when you're using it is to keep time of possible started of the injury, and definitely keep a time log of when you put that tourniquet on. Because if you do get to medical help, medical attention that's desperately needed, that is crucial information that they would need to know, so they know what they're dealing with. So stopping the blood flow, obviously the main thing. Now, the primary goal of tourniquet conversion is to restore blood flow to the limb while still controlling the bleeding. It restricts the blood flow, the tourniquet does, to the entire extremity. If bleeding can be constricted, then that's less that's going to go out of your body. So the conversion will basically allow blood circulation, minimizing damage to that particular area. Now, I mean, it is crucial because you can have cardiac arrest. You can pass out and then bleed out. You can pass out from the loss of blood, and who knows how long you'd be passed out. I mean, obviously, losing a limb is better than losing your life. So, it is a very good asset to have tourniquet. It will absolutely save your life. But you must do your homework on how to apply it to specific areas. and know that when to take it off. You know, your primary goal is to seek medical attention. If you don't have medical attention and you know it, then I mean you got to basically learn how to do field trauma yourself. That's the only way you're gonna to live. And in a shit hits the fan scenario, chances are you're not gonna get medical help. In my opinion, what's the odds of a shit hits fan? Everything's chaotic. There's roadblocks. There's gangs out there blocking the streets. Hospitals are, you know, they're not gonna see you as superior to anyone else if the hospitals ain't tore down. I mean, who knows? Is there power? Is there doctors home with their own families, trying to save their own families? Nurses, you know, at least some of them will be home, if not all of them. And that'll make the hospital more short-staffed. And you know, you're in a bind right there. So those are the things you gotta to really think about. It's not just about what you have in your pack, such as a tourniquet. It's you have to know how to use it. You have to know what to do from there. Because it ain't you just put a tourniquet and you're going to live happily ever after. That's what a lot of these people on this platform ain't telling you. Very important. Very important. I have a lot more shows coming up about devices and stuff that YouTubers put out there, but they don't explain the caveats, the warnings, the downsides of them. I've been doing a lot of studying on these type of things. And like I said, tourniquets are great, but beware. Beware. Okay, you won't bleed out in a couple minutes, but you put one on, you're just gonna perish in a few hours. The other way, I mean, what's the difference? Unless you have it on knowing that you need medical attention, whether it's from a hospital or from your conjugation or yourself even, to address that wound. Very important, very important. That's all I want to address to you guys today. Hope you guys got something out of that. Because that's my goal, is to have people thinking, not just thinking about shit to pack in your bug out bag. There's more to it than just packing in your bug out bag. Starting fires, easy to figure out. Water purification, doesn't take a brainiac to figure that out. But stuff like tourniquets, I think it's really important, and it's not being talked about. And it's kind of disappointing to me, because that's something crucial, thinking that you're good to go. Oh, I have a tourniquet. My life is saved if I get shot. You know, they make it sound like that's the end of it. You put on a tourniquet, that's the end of it. That is absolutely furthest from the truth. You're just prolonging your demise if you don't know what you're doing, or if you don't know what to do next. Like I told you, that tourniquet conversion is one aspect of prolonging your life. But then again, there's a caveat to that too. You got to do something from that on. But at least you can take that tourniquet off and release that blood flow, and you'll save your limb. You still got to address that impalement in your leg, arm, wherever it is. Well, not wherever. You ain't going to do that if it's in your neck or something. But, you know, that's why I always stress, one of the most important things to learn is medical. Learn medical. Get medical books. There's tons of survival medical books. I have about a dozen of them, of different kinds, from different countries, different methods. Read them, or bare minimum, have them. Especially if you're bugging in, there's no reason not to have a small library of books that can save your life in all different types of ways, whether it's food, medicinal, anything. So that's all I got. Just want to bring that to you. Please like, share, subscribe. Drop down any comments below. If you have anything to add to that or anything like that. New World Order Survival Guy. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next one.